of this particular show.
Say something one more time, Keith.
Check, check. 1 2 1 2.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So we got
Good morning. Welcome to Community Voice. I'm your host, Keith Parris. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning as we broadcast live again from Studio 2815. What up, Right Out?
What's going on, Bishop, Superintendent, Chairman of the Board?
Hey, man, I'm doing all right. Is Michelle still there?
She stepped out for a second, but she's still in the building.
Okay.
Oh, she's walking out the door? Yeah, she's... Well,
Yeah,
Elvis is in the building.
Let me thank Michelle. We lost our cable. Not cable. We lost the internet yesterday. And I was talking to Michelle about the possibility of her having to cover the program. And then she said, you know, you got hotspots on your phone, right? And so we were able to go in and put the hotspots in. We've been looking at these hotspots all the time and didn't realize we had them on the phone or how to use them.
So you mean to tell me that the internet from Uptown died? You talking about little internet from 3rd Street?
Dude, internet. Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, as we speak, the good folks from AT&T are out right now. Well, we were going to go to that fiber optic, and they were going to do that Wednesday. But yesterday, something happened where we had a power surge. Bam. And then the internet went out. But yeah, I'm glad because I called her, and she was like, oh, man, you got us. So, yep.
Yeah.
What up, Clark Kent?
Who you with?
Hey, man, I'm with you, man. I understand, and certainly praying for you and yours. It's always difficult when we lose people. So just letting you know, appreciate you, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Hey, I got something for you, man, but I got to wait till you come back to the studio. Got a surprise for you.
Oh, okay.
Wait, hold on. Where my surprise at, man? I'm here in the studio.
Well,
listen here, man. I feel some kind of way.
No, listen. You know, he gave me the Earth, Wind, and Fire book, so I had to repay him back. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, hold on, Keith. Why you didn't give me an Earth, Wind, and Fire book? Hey, man, I feel some kind of way here, man. Hey,
you know,
man.
almost said this. Almost said it, so I'm not going to say it. You can read?
See?
Almost said it.
You got jokes. Okay. I feel some kind of way. You know, Michelle got an Anthony and then got another special order and now giving stuff away, and I'm sitting here in the studio. I just feel some kind of way, man.
Hold on.
Yeah, I understand, man. I definitely understand.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, no. Hold on, man. Hold on. Keith, I am upset here.
Wait. Hold on.
You ain't going to believe this.
Hold on. I'm getting to you right now.
You ain't going to believe this. So you got yours.
He's been sporting us for a minute, man.
The name of the show is Community Voice.
Oh, man, I got a cap. Oh, man.
What the hell? Oh my God! No way! Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Hey, good looking out, boy.
Hey, hold on, man.
Wait. I got to say this quickly. Clark was trying to say it.
I'm leaving.
Keith, that is a gift from Clark. He said that you had your mic on?
Yeah.
Well, go ahead. Say what you got to say.
No, I told him he had gave me the book, the Earth, Wind, and Fire book, so I said I had to return the favor back to you.
Yeah, so Clark purchased your cap, man. You remember that $35?
Nice. Thank you, appreciate that.
Come on, we ain't worth $35. So he thought
this $35.
He thought he was worth $35.
Wow. Ooh. Oh man, where's your birthday, Clark?
April 6th.
April 6th. All right, man. All
But
right.
no, he said you already gave him. You said you gave him the Earth, Wind, and Fire. Something you gave him.
Yeah, I'm good. You gave me the Earth, Wind, and Fire book. I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Hey man, I wanted to say to you, I got word that you did an awesome job yesterday over at Greater Galilee. The word is out. You know, said you were just sensational, fabulous. I know that you didn't make it to the pulpit, but you got it done, right?
Man, I was in a chair. I was actually sitting on my walker, ground level. So let me, Grant, that's a great segue. Let me shout out the good folks over there at Greater Galilee, the historic Greater Galilee Missionary Baptist Church. Man, 106 years. I didn't realize how many people I knew over there. Oh, that was incredible. So let me thank Mr. Al Hill. Let me thank Minister Michael White, Douglas, the committee. That was so nice to bring me in. I preached, I think last year I did their Men's Day. And they brought me back, so I appreciate it. And I really apologize to them because but they made accommodations to get me in. So I did it from the floor. I've never preached sitting down before. Well, no, I did. That's not true, because doing virtual church, obviously, I did it. But that was different. I couldn't move my arms like I normally move my arms. I couldn't do my 2 claps. But maybe they actually heard the message. So let me shout out. Man, I saw one of my old classmates from Dominican, Roz Hamilton. Oh, my God. The people that I saw there was, man, just people I had gone back with the McKinneys, Tammy and Marlo and David. And, oh, man. And, 2 of my music teachers.
You're going to leave somebody out.
No, well, I just only go to ones I know. Oh, let me shout out Marcus Hines. Man, there was people there that I said, of course, Mr. Richard Cox, one of the greatest basketball players Marshall High School ever turned out, former superintendent of the House of Correction. It was really nice, man. And man, they had a nice little reception afterwards. Let me thank again Douglas for accommodating me and all the folks over there, man. It turned out to be a good time. And again, I'm sorry I couldn't stand to do it, but I was still able to do it. So
may I ask how your recuperation or recovery is coming?
Well, I see the orthopedic today. And so we'll get a sense of where I am in terms of that. Yeah, we'll see. we'll see what he has to do. I think right now, I'm not a doctor, but I think it's probably one of those discs of pinching the nerves, and that's what's making it, a little difficult to move and to navigate. So, yeah.
All right.
What was it? Oh man, let me shout out. I mean, everybody, but the choir yesterday, dude. Oh my God, those folks sang. They had this brother in from Chicago. Man. It was good. It was good. How was your weekend, Dito? Dito? How was your weekend, Debo?
Did you just call him Tito?
Tito.
How your weekend, Tito?
That's that pain medicine. That's that pain medicine.
What are them Jacksons? What up, Dito?
What does say? What's that commercial in Sharpton? Who takes meds too? Who's that? What's his name?
Big Lou.
Big Lou takes meds too. No, I had a great weekend. Looking forward to this coming weekend. Great, man. Great. Always enjoy getting up, getting in the service. Good speaker this Sunday. What's his pastor? Elder Mobley. Lobley. He's a principal at one of the high schools here, but he gave the word on yesterday. It was a good time as always, man. Well, and you, I know you spoke, but this coming Sunday, they're not supposed to tell nobody, but there's a special surprise going to happen over at Jerusalem. Jermaine Wright are going to be singing over there.
Actually, I changed it and told him I was going to preach.
Oh, no.
Because my money is one right for singing. So I told him I'd give him a little word of encouragement.
Just the encouragement?
Just the encouragement. Amen. That's it.
It sounds like you're going to be doing that before service start.
Right. Where's my check?
You're going to be in the pre-service. You the warm-up act.
Right. Before the camera's gone.
Right. You out there in the vestibule. They're going to have you out in the vestibule. So it's all good. How was your weekend, Ryder?
Well, hang on one second. Just want to throw this at you because I'm going to get out your room and get out your way. We are still doing the Father's Day. You still got the list, or do you need me to resend it, the questions?
No, I got the list. I'll pull it up. Okay. Just let me know the prompt.
Kind of throw them in there a couple times, however you want to do it, man. Thank you, and get well soon.
All right, thank you, sir.
Well,
somebody asked me, will I be in the Juneteenth parade? That is a great question. Man, we got logistical things going on here, depending on, I can't, because part of being in the Juneteenth parade is getting out the car and interacting with the folks and the kids with the candy. Obviously, I won't be able to do that. And then at the end of the parade, then I need to get down to where we're staging. We're doing a live broadcast from Rise and Grind. So I don't know if I'll be able to. I think I'll probably have to go directly to the remote.
No, Keith.
You can use the scooter.
Yeah, you can use the scooter, man. Now, Clark got a scooter. Angela, she got a scooter.
I'm gonna use a scooter, man, for a half a mile.
Easy. So we gonna decorate it. Hold on, man.
Oh man, come on, man. Hold on. All those people gonna be out there, dude. No,
Keith.
Yeah.
Keith, the pitch driving by. Deacon Jones is driving by, so we want to keep the tradition alive since she's not here. So we'll wave for him. We'll wave for you, Doc.
Deacon Michael Jones, sir.
Drive slow.
Yeah. Now y'all know he a Dallas Cowboy fan, right?
Oh no, drive fast, Doc. Get on away from here.
He's a Dallas Cowboy fan. I mean, a true Dallas Cowboy fan. He's from Texas, but he's a real true Dallas Cowboy fan, man.
Wow. We don't know no better, so you can't hold that against him.
Yep. Well, it could be worse. He could be a Bears fan. Do any of you know any Bears fans personally here?
Yes, I do. I do. Man, some here. I mean, matter of fact, my boy Chris Crane, he was actually on that commercial that actually went viral that they showed him. He had his camera phone out there when the Bears beat the Packers. And so he went viral for that. But yeah, Chris Crane.
Chris was like my guy. You may have to look at him askance now because he's a Bears fan.
He's a Bears fan. Kwamina, Bears fan.
Oh yeah, Kwamina's from Chicago. You know, he grew up in Chicago. I understand that. Well, a whole lot of folks up here. Now, I'm going to tell you now, and maybe this is anecdotal. You know, I didn't go out and do any kind of empirical research. But one of the things I found amazing was when the Packers had those Super Bowl runs, how some of these Bears fans became Packer fans.
Oh, fair weather.
Now, I don't know how long it lasted. But
yeah. Sound like bandwagon people, man. Sound like your kind of folks, Keith.
Hey, man, we're gonna get to that, man. That's the next hour. All I can say, let me do a little tease here. I know my text messages got sadder and
yeah, Doc.
Oh man, by the end, man, it was just like it was so sad. And then Craig ain't got no sympathy, man. Craig just like no love at all. So we talk about that, man, at the 10 o'clock hour. Let me do this. Yeah. Let's do our Black Music Spotlight artist for the month. And oh man, I couldn't think of a better one than Andre Crouch. Crouch. Oh my God, this dude, this brother. Now let me have another thing. I know if DJ was there, he would go, "Here you go, man. You got another story." But I really do. I was about 16 years old, and a buddy of mine who actually used to work at WNOV, Dr. Robert Wells, was able, because he worked at the station, and the station was a sponsor of this particular tour, got us tickets to see Andre Crouch and the Disciples and the Hawkins family down at the PAC. And man, oh man, talking about just incredible. And then I think we went up to see him in Madison too when he came to Madison. But Andre Crouch, man, when I sit up and talk about church music and music that we sing in the church. And here's the other thing, man. I always knew I liked him. The Brothers of Cancer, born July 1st, 1942. And he made his transition January 8th, 2015. Man, he is considered the father of contemporary gospel music. Was he? I think he was on the Light label. The songs that we do, The Blood Will Never Lose Its Power.
Yes, sir.
Man, boy, oh boy, every communion we doing that one. That is the standard. I'm just at the Black church. I think there's a lot of Pentecostal white churches that do that. My Tribute, which is basically To God Be the Glory. And Soon and Very Soon. It's and you know, one of my and I know I sent I don't know if he put it up. I sent a copy of a picture of the of this album. This Is Another Day. Oh man, oh my God, his stuff. And you know, one of my favorite ones, people know, if you don't know, when I was out in Maryland, we would get WHUR, The Quiet Storm, Melvin Lindsay. And one of the songs that Melvin Lindsay used to rock that was a Andre Crouch song is I'll Be Thinking of You. I'll be thinking of you. Yeah. Thinking of you. Hoping all your prayers and trees, they will come true. Oh my God. So yeah, Andre Crouch is our spotlight artist, Black Music Month. Dude, just you can't, like I said, there's very few Black churches in America that's not doing an Andre Crouch song. It's just he's just incredible. And then you know, his twin sister Sandra, you know, so man, Andre Crouch, he is our spotlight artist. I'm looking at the clock, so we need to go on a break.
Yes, sir. We can go ahead on and take that break right now.
All right, you're listening to Community Voice. Phone lines open 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. I'm broadcasting live from Studio 2815 We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
The AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
All right, welcome back to Community Voice, and we're inside the Father's Day giveaway. Oh, we got a caller. All right, good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
What's happening? Good morning.
I heard that James Brown go off as a contest calling, right?
Say what? What did you say?
He's giving away tickets.
Contest calling.
Yeah.
So we heard the theme song.
Oh, so you calling for the tickets?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, it ain't tickets. It's like giveaway, right?
Yeah, it's the giveaway.
Yep. All right. Okay, so you ready to answer this question?
I'm gonna try.
Okay. What is the most common Father's Day meal?
The most common Father's Day meal.
Wow.
I'm gonna say steak.
You know what? You a winner. I'm gonna give you a winner because hold on. He said thank you. Because actually there was another question. What is the most popular Father's Day restaurant meal ordered? And guess what? It's steak. Yeah. All right, man, you a winner.
All right.
All right. So right out will get your information, man. Thank you for listening. What station made you a winner?
WNOV, the source.
All right, man. Appreciate you. Thank you. All right. Boy, Clark, I don't feel like it, but man, people come up and say, man, I be listening to the program, and boy, oh boy, they go from, and sometimes it's the older folks, and you know what they say? They say, man, y'all really be talking crazy. So I don't know who they talking about, but oh man. So again, all the people that listen, I appreciate that. I appreciate you. Let me do, actually, Michelle mentioned it on her program. And when we were talking yesterday, I had asked her about had she seen the video because of the fight. And she said, no. Nah. And again, she said, and what she told you this morning is absolutely true. What she said to me yesterday, she said, I thought it was from out of town. I go, nah, because at first somebody had posted on Facebook, and that's why you just can't run with what you first see on Facebook, was like they were fighting at Destiny's graduation. And so then I looked and I was going like, oh, okay. I tried to pull it up. It wasn't out, like it wasn't a news story, but it was a Facebook story. And then as I'm looking at the video, I go, yeah, that's their auditorium. Because you can see they have, like, if you've ever been out there, there's like, as you move west, there's a dance studio that you can actually look into. That's a very nice facility. Shout out to Bishop Hines and those folks. I mean, beautiful facility. You go through, and then you can see the hallway that it was. And then when the church, they put out a statement saying that, no, they allowed someone to use the space. Now, when Michelle was talking about how the folks came up with the intent to fight at a graduation.
Yeah.
Now, if you're not telling me that ain't stuck on stupid, where you figure you come to a graduation to fight somebody, man. Now, I've never heard that, but as I told the congregation yesterday, the greatest book is yet to be written. I think the most stupid act is yet to be perpetrated or ever happening. And man, oh man. So then they come in and it was just like, wow, at a graduation. Man, but people shoot up funerals.
Yeah.
And so the level of respect that people have is like, man, where has it gone?
Man, this is the crazy thing, though, Keith, which is true. People nowadays, man, they seem like, man, they don't respect anything. Like as far as shooting up funerals and doing all that other stuff is crazy. But to come to a graduation, not knowing if this young man family was there, it had to be, because you see a lot of people jumping in it. So you see people jumping in it, and I don't know if they was breaking up the fight or if they was escalating the fight.
No, the people trying to break up the fight, most people got their folks out of there, man. Yeah, but and I know he was a big dude, but these little dudes, man, they were like chihuahuas swinging. It's just like they came out of nowhere.
Yeah, doctor, and you see the young man get off stage. He get off stage with his graduation cap on. He says something, and then he throw his cap down to the ground and take off his gown. And then that's when you see, man, that it was starting to boil over because tension was getting heavy then. And you hear the lady.
Wait a minute, it was after prayer.
After three prayers. Yeah. Well,
now, how we talk about the situation is important. And I subscribe to it. Michelle subscribes to it in terms of, we have to be careful, because then people will use this as a justification to do some things that's being more harmful. There's something in the law called disparate impact. Disparate impact means that, you had a law or a policy that you put into place. It seemed like, like we're trying to deal with this issue, like the food trucks, right?
Right.
You know that people are using the food trucks as an excuse to come down and hang out because they can't get in the bars.
Right.
The disparate impact then is on the people who don't go down there to do anything stupid, and for the owners of those food trucks. So something with a good intention can have a very negative output, right? I mean, very negative consequence. So I think we have to be careful with this. And again, but I'm just wondering, like, man, there was an article many years ago, and it asked the question, what has happened to shame? Like people don't necessarily feel shame. I mean, it's obvious when you look at the president, he has no shame. There is nothing that he ever sits up and go like, man, that's a bridge too far, or man, I shouldn't have said that. He doesn't. And so maybe that's the example that's being set for young people that they're sitting up and looking at. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I was just calling about the topic about slaughterhouses.
Uh-huh.
So I was listening to the conversation you were saying, and I agree
Are
with you.
Are you on your cell phone?
Yeah.
Take us off speaker because it's kind of sound like you're underwater.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was just calling to talk about the slaughterhouse thing. I was actually just talking to quite a few of my coworkers about this the other day, because quite a few of them have actually worked at slaughterhouses, like Patrick Cudahy and a couple other places. And the same consensus that I heard from all of them was that it was very troubling to work at these places. That some of them did have PTSD from working there. And it was something like, yeah, it was a job, but at the same time, like, they said they still can remember the screams from, like, the animals that they killed.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I wanted to add that in as, something. And I just wanted to say I love your show and I listen to you all the time.
All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Have another caller?
No, sir. That was one. But yeah, man, that, like, I could imagine, man, just, trying to sleep at night and hearing the screams of whatever you just put under. And then turning around and going to the store and seeing it wrapped up in a package, ready to be sold is it's kind of different. Like I was just friends with Billy Bob, and now
real talk though. When I was in Tennessee, they call them spring chickens. These are really, really young chickens. And so I had really kind of befriended this chicken. I really had. So you sit up there talking about it, man. And I could have been about maybe 6, 7. And I befriended that chicken. And then I went out and I watched my aunt grab that chicken, break its neck, watch them run, and then cut it off with an axe and then walk. And then brought it in the house and thought that I was going to eat 2-piece.
Yeah, it's like how do you expect me to eat my guy? Like I was just kicking it with you. We was just running around together. Now he all crispy and golden in front of me. I can't do that. You got a phone call, man. Like shake and bake. Shake and bake.
Can you eat something that you just saw walking maybe 20 minutes ago? Caller, welcome to the program.
Okay, I got 2 notifications that you need to know. When I used to work at the Slaughterhouse, I learned that the cows cry.
Oh wow!
They actually cry out of their eyes, and they actually cry while it's howling. From hearing the other cows give descriptions of screaming, they go into a fear frenzy.
I bet they do.
I had a blower that I got off the truck, and as soon as he heard it, he turned around at me, and he knew that the heifers was getting killed in there, and I had to stun them down onto the ground to get them in there. Now, another thing too, what I don't like about America is that the FDA doesn't do a recall on anything unless enough people found issues to call in. Other than anything, the food goes through the food chambers. They even have what I hated, where former I told him that I didn't want to kill certain cows because, they didn't look right. I was directed that I better pull them through with the chain and nuke them, with the air gun. And the thing is, some of those cows be so sick they have cancer in it.
Right.
But what they do, they trim the cancer stuff out, and that's made me stop working there, okay? Because you have cows with cysts embedded inside their skin, like a man have hair growing into his cheeks.
Right.
They have them in lumps inside their body. And the thing is, if y'all see any yellow on y'all meat, that resembles fatty cancerous meat, okay? And on the ribs, they even have pus. And this screwworm stuff that's coming around now, that was brought back. And I think this is going to be to control population control because that was only in 1930s when it came out before. But now it's all of a sudden back here. I had a chicken one time. No, a rooster. Went to Chicago, came back, and left him on the top of the porch, and he froze standing up. And I go and see my rooster. Once we got back home, he was froze on top of the porch, and I was mad, and so I couldn't get his feet from being froze. So we left him there. Well, I left him there for a minute till it thawed out, but to come back, we had dinner. And I asked him, I said, wait a minute, this chicken kind of got some muscles on it. And I went upstairs and seen that my chicken had been dug out of that snow. And I go back downstairs and everybody laughing, talking about we ate your chicken.
This was in Chicago?
Chicken ever since that.
This is Chicago?
No, this was in Milwaukee. I probably was the only black dude with chicken, roosters in the backyard. And this was back in the 80s.
Okay. All right.
The rooster froze on the porch.
Yeah, that's the first time I found out that Milwaukee got that cold.
Yeah. The rooster
My rooster
to meet
told me. Damn it.
I told you to leave me in Mississippi. I told you to leave me in Mississippi.
Man, listen
Right,
here.
man.
Hey, but listen, I ain't lying, man. I was driving the other day doing rides, man. And I pulled up right over here off of like what's this, like 13th and Keith or something like that. And in the front yard where they was barbecuing, they had a cage out there.
Oh yeah, I see that.
With a duck in it.
Yeah.
A white duck that they keep as a pet. So when they go walking to the store, they let the duck out and the duck walk behind them to the store. And I'm like, so y'all training this duck to interact with human beings.
Listen.
I mean, eat human food, everything. Like the duck is gangster, man. the duck is gangster, man.
Listen, I went to 7 Mile Fair. That's all you see was ducks, rabbits, rooster, chicken. They had a whole area full of that. People buying them.
That's crazy, man.
People buying them.
It's a pet.
Well, people ask me, am I a fisherman? I say, yep. I go right to the fish display case. That's about as much fishing as I'm going to do.
Steak or filet?
Yeah, man. But yeah, I had thought about, human beings, Homo sapiens, we started off as vegetarians. I don't know how we ended up becoming carnivores.
Probably because the scripture gave us a dominion over the birds and the fishes and all the other.
We was eating meat before the scriptures, bro.
I know, but so what happened was some evil folks got a hold of the scripture and figured we can make some money out of this thing and start pumping. Listen, man, I've never seen man. I went to this place, I ain't gonna say, but it ends with a J, and that chicken was bigger than me, man. I'm 6'1", 200 some pounds. I said, what am I eating? Like, why is the thigh bigger than Hercules? Like, what are you pumping into the meat so it's heavy enough so you can make more money off of what you
know? I had a dream.
Dr. King. Dr. King.
One day.
All chickens are like a
No, I had a dream. I don't know what restaurant I was at, but I was trying to get out and I ended up going in the area where they were cooking.
Oh.
And dude, they had the biggest chicken wings. Oh man, those chicken wings. I was going like, yeah, I like y'all. Y'all got the biggest chicken wings. Yeah, but part of that, man, this medication I'm taking, man, it's just bad dreams. I just have some
it's time for a break.
Man, it's some of the worst dreams ever, dude. All right, you listen to Community Voice. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Out your home. Plus, Morton's Look Ahead technology learns and predicts your water needs, saving you money. Save big on Morton water softeners, and don't forget to check out our weekly flyer on menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
860 AM, 106.5 FM, WNOV, The Voice.
Listen, everybody. Listen up good now. Listen, everybody. Listen up good
On WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
All right, welcome back. I want to do this real quickly. There was, I read, just saw this news. Well, actually, I've been following it. There has been a spate of anti-immigration or anti-immigrant violence in Europe by far white supremacist groups. And one of the places that it's really been pretty bad is Belfast, Northern Ireland, which is crazy because when you think about how the Catholics in Northern Ireland have been treated pretty much like Black folks in America in terms of discrimination, not allowing them to have employment opportunities. You know, they were dealing with a civil war there, which I loved how they described it. It was called the Troubles. And, you know, it's the, trying to think of this. So you had the Protestants who are of Scottish descent. And then you had the people there who were indigenous Irish people who tended to be Catholic. The Scots tended to be, they call it Scot-Irish, tended to be Protestants. And there was something where right now in Switzerland, they want to put a cap on their population at 10 million people. I think currently right now, they're about 8.6 million people. And a lot of that is directed at making sure that immigrants don't get in the country. And so you see this anti people of color movement throughout the world. You're seeing more and more right-wing, far-right extremist politicians winning in European elections. I don't know if that's the case in America, though. The MAGA movement would be pretty close to that in terms of what we're seeing. But we're even seeing there that there are divisions within that group. I say to folks all the time, we need to understand that the Republican Party is the minority party in this country. But because of gerrymandering, they've been able to have an outsized influence on politics because of these gerrymandered districts. And then when you include now that they're able to go in under the guise of, and this is what Attorney Thompson was talking about, under the guise of partisan redistricting, Well, it just so happens that, oh, wow, we're going to redistrict this, and we'll redistrict this based on supposedly politics, where we know that if you're in the South, chances are even in the North, blacks are more apt to vote Democratic than Republican, though we do have some black folks who rock and roll with the Republican Party. So I thought that was interesting. There is a race down in Florida. There was the redistricting of districts down in Florida, I think, to give Republicans 3 additional seats. There's Debbie Wasserman. She was a congressperson in her district. She ended up losing her district because of redistricting, and so she what is now the redrawn district, a predominantly black district. Now there are four black candidates who are running. Luther Campbell, everybody know Luke. 2 Live Crew is running. So there's pushback because people are saying she shouldn't run in the race. Then there were 4 black candidates, and one of them was the woman who she represented that district. She's facing Sheila Cherfilus McCormick. She resigned while facing legal battles in a congressional ethics investigation. And then there's a young state state senator, Shervin Jones, and one other person. So they came together, these 4 black candidates, and they wanted to get behind one person in order to go against Debbie Wasserman Schultz. They could not do it. So what's going to happen on the Dem side is that at least now, because all 4 of them made the ballot, it's District 20 there in Florida, all 4 of them have made the ballot. They're going to split the vote, and there's a real good chance that she can end up winning. I think it's amazing when we talk about unity. So if it's important that you have black representation, does a person have a responsibility to stand down? And all of them came up with what they said were legitimate reasons for why they're staying in the race. The younger brother said, well, I'm not going to wait my turn. Luther Campbell is Luther Campbell. And then former Congresswoman McCormick. So it's one of those things where you wonder, like, sometimes it's about our ego. I was saying yesterday, and you see this, churches now, and I can kind of speak to this, churches are looking to call pastors to their vacancies. And, it really has to be more about the we, what's the best for the we. But the problem is I look at what's best for we through my eyes. So the ability to be able to fall back and say, you know what, I can give up something for the greater good or good of the whole. That's very difficult for people to do, because somehow we think that we are the better for the good of the whole. So just watching that to see what happens in that primary down in Florida's 20th congressional district. How will Debbie Wasserman do? Schultz will do. But it says a whole lot about how black folks sometimes, and I can only speak for us, where you have to learn how sometimes to fall back. I mean, it's the same thing on a team. If you understand your role on a team, and it's not important for you to be a star. I remember watching the documentary on the Bad Boys, and Dennis Rodman, I don't know if he was a rookie or he was in his 2nd year, and he ended up, Mark Aguirre, who was starting, said, you know what, he had gone to Coach Daly and said, you need to put Dennis on the floor, right? I mean, he brings too many good things to the team, and I can fall back. Now, one being Mark Aguirre being able to do that, people knew Mark Aguirre was a beast, was able to fall back and say, no, I can do this. And so there's a huddle that they're having, and they're drawing up the play. And some kind of way, Robin's involved with the play, and he turns to Daly and said, "Don't you mean Mark? Mark should be getting it." Because in his mind, he didn't think that I should really be out there. Now, other people, that ain't their attitude. I should be playing. And maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. I don't know, because it comes down to things like team chemistry and whether the team chemistry works better with me. And sometimes you always have what they call those glue guys, right? They're doing all the little things. I think Josh Hart would be an example of a glue guy. Draymond Green is a glue guy. They don't score a lot of points, but they do what they need to do, for the betterment of the team. So, again, when you're looking at that race down in Florida, we'll see how it turns out, what people will end up doing. Yeah, that's kind of where we are. Hey, Right Out.
Yes, sir.
You see what I sent you?
Yeah, I was just looking at that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Unless you've been sleeping under a rock, as you know, the New York Knicks won the NBA championship this year, 53 years since they won their last one. Phil Jackson was on both those teams. What was it? The 70 team and the 73 team.
Really?
Guy who played basketball here from New York came to Marquette. Dean the Dream Meminger was on that team. Oh, man, that was Walt Frazier. That 73 team was Walt Frazier, Earl Monroe, Bill Bradley, Dave DeBusschere, Willis Reed. And then I'm thinking, I don't know if Cassie Russell was coming off the bench, or I know Phil Jackson. Now, because one of those finals, Phil Jackson was hurt. And so, man, you look at it, and I didn't know how to feel about it. I think I picked the Knicks. And so here's the question, y'all, 414-444-5250, 414. Oh, DJ just popped in. 414-444-5250. Should I send him the email? Let me say this, though. And Ron and I were having this discussion. The only game that the Knicks lost, who was at the game?
Yeah. Orange fella. Now,
the only game.
It's crazy.
The only game.
They was like, wasn't it like 46-0 or something like that?
Yeah, the playoffs. I don't know if they had lost the game in the playoffs up until, because they won 13 straight?
Yeah. And then number 47 show up when they go off of 47 in a row, and guess so he should have came to all of the games and after that, because then we would most definitely have a game 7. But
so here's my question. Well, anyway, what's your impression? What? Because like I said, it either went to radio silence or just sadness. I could just see it. Like, it was just so much sadness.
Doc, listen.
So,
man, I looked at the thread and threw my phone. I knew it. But but I'm gonna say this, man. I mean, hats off. I mean, I gotta tip my hat to New York. New York, played a hell of a series, man. They played, and I'm not even gonna hate, because to be honest, I really didn't like New York because of two people, Stephen A. Smith and Donald Trump. But those boys played, balls to the wall, man. That boy JB was amazing to just put the team on his back and carry them back. Yeah, I mean, for a second round player that was drafted in the second round, that was a backup point guard in Dallas, he just pretty much sketched his name in history, man.
Did somebody, and I don't know if that was something that Craig had said, where they said that that you no, it was quite cool, right? Who was it that talked about, the size of the player has nothing to do with basically the size of their game. And I know my guy Mark Brown is listening, And I said Mark Brown is one of the few under 6 foot left-handed guards that I like. I usually have a problem with guards that are under 6 foot and then left-handed.
Yeah.
But Brunson, man, that dude was, I mean, he dropped 45 when it
Like
mattered.
Doc, he was eating them up. DJ just said, man, that this series proves that you cannot underestimate experience, which is true, because with experience and when you face a situation that you've seen before, you know how to maneuver compared to a situation that you don't have a clue about and you figuring it out on the fly. So it's you know, but I could say this though. It could be a conspiracy with a Z, because you know, Darren Fox and Mike Brown, you know, that whole connection. And you know, when they was with Sacramento. So you know, I could go that route, but I ain't gonna go that route though, because I don't think it's a conspiracy.
Well,
I
just like Keith
York,
said, I don't know, Keith, what the DJ said. You gotta think the players on the Knicks are experienced players than the ones that was on
I said right out and DJ this comparison, and I so look at the core of the Knicks. Sorry, is that it?
So you go, yeah, that's better.
Okay, when you look at the core of the Knicks, I'm looking at the average age is about 28 and a half in terms of their core players, right? So you got Jalen Brunson's 29, Mikal Bridges is 29, OG Anunoby is 28, Karl Anthony Towns is 30, and Mitchell Robinson is 28. Now, when you look at the core players for the Spurs, Dylan Harper's 20, he's a rookie. Stephon Castle's he's 21. This is what, his second year?
Yeah.
Victor Wembanyama, this is second year, he's 22. Julian Champagnie is 24, and then Devin Vassell is 25. They don't have any. These talking about the people that play. Now, when you look at how they rank in the NBA, in terms of, I think the Knicks are in the middle of the pack. But what throws off San Antonio when you look at the average team age is, I think you got Plumlee on the team. What's my guy, Barnes? The African brother there. Yeah, so that brings it up. But those guys weren't playing a lot. Okay. So, all right.
I do have to say this. Now, even though the Knicks have experienced older players, they have never experienced.
I can't hear you right out.
I was saying, even though that the Knicks have older players than San Antonio, they have never played in the finals. So that was their first time playing in the finals, but they figured it out, man. They
experience. I mean, and I didn't realize this, because when they were doing the analysis, these guys on the Knicks are going into their athletic prime. You know, for a male, your athletic prime goes between 27 and 30, 31. That's when you're going to be at the peak. After that, everything is downhill. So, caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Caller?
Yes. Keith, I'm going to say something that I'm glad the Knicks won, but the one thing I have to admit, you know, for years, it was just when they had the NBA championships, it was just an East Coast or West Coast kind of thing. Are you still there?
Yeah.
And, you know, for years, I was just, and so the rest of the country was just forgotten about. No Milwaukee's, no Chicago's. And I understand they're trying to get more people, like East Coast, there's more people who live there on the West Coast. But it was just Los Angeles, New York, Boston. That's basically only three for years. Wasn't that the case?
Yeah, but when you look at it, well, New York is the biggest market in America. LA won in 20, right? And then we had
the 70s and 80s, and the
Oh yeah,
90s.
but that it was a different league. I mean, in terms of, you know, when the Bucks in the '80s were playing, they had a very good team, but Boston was better, Philly was better, LA was better. You know, so now you look at it, but when you think about it, Denver has won an NBA championship, OKC has won an NBA championship, and you go back to in 21, Milwaukee. These are all really relatively small market teams who were able to win championships. Boston is considered a big market, is a big market team, right? So I hear you, but I think that there seems to be, you guys can chime in, I think there's just more parity in the league right now in terms of teams.
Is compared to the way it was in the past, where I mean, you saw the same those three cities: Boston, New York, Los Angeles,
LA.
And the rest of the country. I mean, just go ahead and watch the rest of the game.
Yeah,
and just watch this play and decide who's going to win. And
then you had the '90s where you had you had the Bulls, which is what would Chicago be the second, third largest market in the area, and I mean in the country.
Third.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was only because of Jordan. But I'm saying otherwise, I was not too thrilled to death. I mean, because to me, they're forgetting the rest of the country. I mean, there's a whole big country in besides the West Coast and the East Coast. That's all I'm trying to say. Especially when it comes
I think the other thing is with the NBA, that salary cap.
And that's what they wanted. Same thing when they hated. I think when they do baseball, and they want to get the East Coast and the West Coast rivalries, and they're just talking about the amount of people are going to be watching. Of course, they're going to make more money, and they call them. They have somebody like Milwaukee playing somebody like St. Louis or something. I mean, people they won't make as much money, but I mean, there's the rest of the country. People need to, if you're a sports fan, and so whatever. I mean, you need to take into consideration the rest of the country, because otherwise, you know who's going to be going there all the time, like in basketball for years. I mean, like it was just those three teams, and then Chicago got in there, and then there was maybe San Antonio, but otherwise it was just those maybe four teams.
But when you look at, like I said, when you squeeze it in,
and then they had one when Jordan was there, Chicago.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it was basically this. I didn't watch it too much because, I just felt they were just. There was a rest of the country, and you're being Milwaukee. You want to see people more in your smaller markets in there. I mean, because you know who's going to be winning all the time, because they had the best players and they had the most money too.
Well, I think that when you look last year with OKC had was Shea MVP last year, so you have the best player in the NBA on your squad, so that's a must watch. Probably the same thing with San Antonio, because San Antonio is probably one of, if not the smallest, one of the smallest markets, in the country. So when you're looking at that, I think that's what made this such a compelling series, because you had the Knicks, the biggest market in the country, but you also have probably the next superstar in the league, and Wemby. So that was great. I mean, people watched because of it. And it hadn't been, and people, even though San Antonio is a small market, San Antonio has a great basketball culture, because they've won 5 NBA championships in San Antonio. So I think it's right. DJ put in, he put in the chat. The good thing about the NBA is that there's much parity in the league. New teams have won since they've turned to this decade. The salary cap has put people into they put people into into play that normally wouldn't. I mean, and again, it's luck. I just saw where Trey.
Smaller markets too, and kind of like I would like the NBA be more like football. Whereas I mean, they have the Green Bay Packers, and you have a Denver there, and you have Atlanta there, and you have DC there. It's not this. It's all over the place as far as who's going to win the Super Bowl and everything.
Well, and I know you put Atlanta in there. I don't think Atlanta's ever going to win the Super Bowl. All right, man, I got to take a break. Hey, y'all, you're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a break. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Scholarships and a chance to represent Milwaukee with pride. The deadline to enter is Friday, April 17th, 2026. Parents, guardians, future kings and queens, don't wait. Sign up today at Juneteenth. Your voices matter, your talents matter, your future matters. Be a part of the legacy.
860 AM, 106.5 FM, WNOV, The Voice. Your voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
All right, welcome back to Community Voice. Of course, the phone line's open 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. In the chat box, somebody said, I hope Spike Lee, Happiness Donuts, gets a ring.
Man, stop it.
DJ says Spike will definitely get a ring. He's part of their culture. When you think about the Knicks, you think of Spike Lee. Now, let me say this. Was this 99 when what year did the Knicks lose to the Pacers?
90.
Was that 99?
Yeah, when the famous choke.
Yeah, where he unleashed Reggie Miller.
Yeah.
And he was he's person non grata for a long time in New York because they were like, so when Donald Trump came to the game 3, that kind of got him off the hook.
Man, listen, man, I'm gonna say this, man. Spike Lee is not getting the ring, man. Because if you give Spike Lee a ring, you got to give one to Tracy Morgan. You got to give one to Jerry Seinfeld. You got to give one to Stephen A. Smith. All of these hardcore fans, man. Yes, Spike Lee's been in the front row. Yes, Spike Lee's been.
I don't remember Tracy Morgan back in the day like Spike Lee. Yeah, Spike Lee has been with the Knicks. You remember the movie Crooklyn?
Yeah, Crooklyn.
Crooklyn was based on Spike Lee as a kid. And sorry about that. Hey.
So you having a live production meeting? Having a live production meeting.
Yeah,
we'll just do it live. Just do it live. Yeah. But Spike Lee, man, if you give one to Spike, man, you got to give it to Tracy, man. I've been seeing Tracy at the games for years, man. And Spike ain't gonna get no ring. And
he should though. I mean, and I think that's up to Mr. Dolan. Somebody had put in the chat box that they saw Charles Oakley in San Antonio.
Yep,
you didn't see Charles Oakley at the Garden.
Yeah, I did see him at San Antonio. He was actually sitting.
Yeah, he's still banned from the Garden.
And that's crazy because why would you ban him from the Garden? Now, Charles Oakley actually came out and talked about this on the podcast. And, he's just, I don't know.
Well.
And wait, now I see Happiness Donut said the fans of the Knicks put our Deer District fans to shame. Well, actually, they didn't because, I was down in the Deer District when we went to the finals, and it was thousands of people.
I think wasn't it something like It was close to what 75,000, something like that.
Yeah.
New York is a bigger
down
city,
there,
man. I mean,
I was down there, and
yeah.
but the Knicks fans, what the Knicks fans did, it's completely out of order, because when they jumped on that San Antonio fan in New York and beat him down, it spread it like wildfire. Because when they went back to San Antonio, they did the same thing to them fans from New York. And I mean, they was ripping the jerseys off of them people, man. They was burning their jersey. I mean, beating them up. Terrible, man. This was crazy, man. And it was sad to see that it's turning into violence like that, man. Like, it was just a game.
Yeah, but we also had some nonsense outside our district too.
Well, yeah. Now, wait a minute. Now, our nonsense wasn't us fighting Phoenix fans or fighting any of those fans. It wasn't none of that. That we was fighting ourselves. These people here is fighting the fans. I mean, if you have on a San Antonio jersey in New York, they chase you down the street. They was beating you up. It's video now, and I can send it to you, of these guys whooping this San Antonio Spurs fan, and police stood there and didn't even intervene because it was too many fans that was jumping on the dude, man. They just stood there like,
they probably want a piece of it too, but they was in uniform.
Right, right. They was Knicks fans too.
Right.
Get 'em.
They wanted a piece too.
Yeah,
and that
man,
was after they lost, right? So blame that.
No. This was this was after.
I thought it was after game 3.
No, this was after the championship game. After New York won in San Antonio, they was beating up a fan. I mean, kicking him all in his head. I mean, beating him down, and it's just crazy how this thing is just turning. It's just turning.
Well, yeah, and that all the Knicks fans. But trust me, man, how many fights have people had in the stands? Where they jumped on. You don't see.
Now I know. Now I know baseball because I've been to a couple Brewers Cubs games, and those games are like, man, those games are like Bloods and Crips. That's what it should be, like blood. Yeah, Doc, it should be like Bloods and Crips, man, because they serious about that, man, and they would go at it. If you have on the Brewers jersey in Chicago and the Brewers win, Doc, you better run. Like, I've seen it happen at Miller Park when the Brewers have won, and they see people with the Cubs jersey on, and they throwing beer, and man, it's crazy.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think and I think people have to be, places like Philly, it's a little bit more pronounced because Philly fans are, I don't know who's the worst. They're great for Philly, but I think when people kind of react to them and what they see, so. Yep. 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250.
One of the worst fans.
Yeah, because they had one. They had one in Central Park. Wow. Where they had a watch party. And then you know what? Let's shout out who really started this. It was the Toronto Raptors, right?
They sure
did.
North, when they played. Yeah, outside. Because then that following year we jumped on board and we did the Deer District.
Right. But it was really the folks up there.
In New York, though, for the people that couldn't go to the watch parties, it was a guy that projected the game off of a building, and it was thousands of people in the street watching that championship.
Yeah, but did you see where the people came out on the roofs and they were on the balconies?
Yeah, man, that was dope.
Yeah, I mean, but look, when the Brewers won the American League pennant in 1982, they estimated that there was 1 million people downtown.
I can believe it.
That's how many people came in. And I mean, it was just like, so whenever you get something like a team winning, something like that, man, it makes a difference. I think he's still banned because he was talking crazy about not being able to get in the garden. So.
Hey, Happiness Donut said, but there were often happier stories. Knicks brought the state together. We fight the Cubs every game.
They do.
Hey, so even if it's a
They lose or win.
oh yeah, we fight them every game.
Well, it used to be worse with the White Sox.
Yeah, which was crazy.
It used to be worse with the White Sox. So, and who also there was a little period where it was tough was the Twins, because when Bud Selig was commissioner of Major League Baseball, he was talking about moving the Twins out of Minneapolis.
Oh.
And I just happened to be up in Minneapolis for a conference, and man, they was wearing him out. They was wearing Bud Selig. And then I drove back to Milwaukee, and I'm noticing all these cars from Minnesota. So I'm thinking they're gonna stop at the Dells. Nope, kept going. They were coming down because they hated the Brewers just that much, and we're not in the American League anymore.
Right.
So I think we could have been in the National League then. But yeah, and here's the other thing about the Cubs fans coming up. The Cubs fans spend a lot of money here.
Yeah,
I mean, they're spending a lot of money, but it can get pretty tough. I wonder they have a series next weekend with the Cubs and see what it's going to look like, because the Brewers are really, 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 really looking pretty
what
good.
I'm trying to figure out too, Keith, is now I seen that there was a story out of San Antonio that they were saying if you wasn't from Texas or San Antonio, you weren't able to get tickets. But it was a lot of Knicks fans that was in the building.
They ended up rescinding that. Are you kidding me, man? That's money. If people want to give up their tickets, they give up their tickets, man. Because when they played Philly, I would say about a third of the crowd in Philly was from New York.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break.
You got a call? Okay, break?
Break, yes, sir.
All right. All right, you're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Mess with that now.
No, I was good.
To the president or his team, because this is a guy who has made similarly racist and conspiracy theories previously. Putting all of that.
105 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
All right, welcome back to Community Voice. And we have a few minutes left, right? What time is it? Oh, yeah, got a few minutes left. Let's see. I'm a little confused by what DJ was talking about, but okay. And that it's something though. It's happened as Donut says, but there were other happier stories, and Knicks brought the state together. Yeah, same thing happened when the Bucks won here. All of a sudden there's Bucks fans all over the state, right? You take pride in that. When the Packers, win a Super Bowl, the whole state claims the Packers, right? I wonder if that little pocket down in Kenosha and then that little pocket up in near Hudson, Wisconsin for the Vikings. There's a lot of Vikings fans up in, would it be Northwest going into Minnesota. And then, Kenosha, man, that's bear country down in Kenosha, So, 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. What were you saying right out?
Well, no, Clark was saying there wasn't Racine and Kenosha Bear fans. I was like, yeah, pretty much.
No. It stops at Racine.
Really?
Kenosha is solidly Bear. Yeah, you still have a lot of Packer fans at Racine.
Oh, yeah.
It's Kenosha.
Yeah.
It's Kenosha.
Yeah, because when they do the Chicago Bears and the Packer game, they got that little meeting spot in Kenosha. I forgot, off of the freeway to where they do like the mixed parties. So like the Packer fans and the Chicago Bear fans, they meet in that place.
I think I know what you're talking about. The spot.
Yeah. So they have all of the games.
But and I'm gonna tell you, man, and I guess it's pretty true. It's hard getting Bears gear in Wisconsin and Milwaukee.
Yeah, it is.
It's hard. There's
who wants it though?
Well, that's the point.
Who won it?
And somebody put in earlier, it will no longer be the Chicago Bears, be the Hammond Bears. That doesn't sound right.
Oh yeah. That sound like when you got Yogi Bear and Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, and not that I really care about the Bears. Not that I really care that much about what happens with them. But and I'm trying to think, is it the equivalent of the Jets and the Giants playing in New Jersey?
You know what? That's a great observation. I'm sure it is. Yeah.
Because it looks like the Commanders are going back to D.C.
So
currently they're playing in Maryland.
Yeah.
But I think they're going back to D.C. That's one of the reasons why Muriel Bowser didn't really want to agitate Trump, because she was trying to make sure. Because I think they're going to build on where RFK Stadium is in D.C. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, of course, they'll still be called the Chicago Bears, but they'll be playing in Hammond, Indiana. And then they showed the neighborhood that they're moving into.
Yeah, that's the hood, ain't it?
It's going to be pretty rough. Yeah. But, Chicago Stadium is in the hood. If you go down, Madison is, that's isn't that near West Side?
Hey, but St. Louis Cardinals stadium is in the hood.
No, it's downtown.
Well,
it's downtown.
Downtown is the hood in St. Louis.
Actually, it's pretty. What they've done. Like the last time I was in St. Louis, they redid the train station and nice little hotels, and then you kind of walk up the bush. It's not in too rough a part of the town.
Yeah, Doc, you
close.
Man, Doc, listen here. You must have had the Lord along with you if you weren't walking down in that area, because I'm trying to tell you.
And the crazy thing is that you can kind of walk on the street and look in the stadium.
Yeah.
That's really kind of. But no, I like that little redevelopment they did. Now it's been some years since I've been in St. Louis, but like when I was down there, it wasn't in the worst part of town. Now I can tell you in Baltimore, where the baseball stadium and the football stadium, that's a pretty rough part of town. Yeah. That's a pretty rough part of town.
So not to change the subject, but since we're talking about rough part of towns, what do you think about this whole James Harden thing, man, with him riding around 3:00 in the morning with his gun?
I don't know. Here's the question is, why do athletes feel like they need to have a gun?
I mean, why do average citizens that's not an athlete, that has the money of the athlete, need a gun?
There you go.
I mean, man, people are crazy. So if I see you and I know that you are an athlete and I know that you make a lot of money, some people will try. Like, prime example,
Big Dog. Ask Big Dog.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. Big Dog and Tim Thomas, and Todd Day. Todd Day was right over here.
They got jacked
right here at Perkins.
Yeah.
No, say it ain't so.
He jacked Todd Day at Perkins, outside of Perkins.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one.
They turned him upside down.
I would have jacked Big Dog though. How you wearing a rollie up in juniors? Come on, like I said, Rob B.
No, but check this out though, Keith. This cat used to pull up on 13th and Atkinson in the drop top. Big Dog, because he used to holler at a chick that stayed off of Atkinson. So he used to pull up in the hood and pick her up.
Well, you know what? He used to have that nice Impala.
Yeah.
And there was a young lady that lived on the block that he would come through when I think when we first got over here. That he was down the way. And I remember like, dude, that's a nice Impala.
Subbing. I mean, his music was boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
Well, Marvin Winans got jacked for his rolling.
And he should have had a pistol. Because why are you out 1-2 o'clock at night by yourself going to the gas station? Now I understand you're gonna take the Lord along.
But you can't ask him, but ask Keon why he's getting gas at 2:30 in the morning.
Well, Keon,
is the gas cheaper at 2:30 in the morning than it is at 2:30 in the afternoon?
But with somebody like Keon, that when you see him, you'll kind of second guess to run up on him. Like,
I got all of that. I just don't know why you buying gas at 2:30 in the morning. That's my question. Whether you look like Keon or
Yeah,
not.
because you might not make it to 2:45 in the morning.
You might not make it home.
then you really gonna be up a creek.
Yeah, and certainly I know if you coming home, but man, I'd be like, man, because Cam is, I bumped into this brother, man. He was up at the station at 2:30 in the morning. First of all, why are you even still up? I got to call a caller. Welcome to the program. Good morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all talking about the one that robbed me and Robinson?
Yeah.
He got 60 years.
He got who?
60 years.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he got 60 years because he wouldn't get a watch back.
Yeah.
Probably could.
Wow.
Yeah, because he probably saw it.
He could have gave it back, but Glenn Robinson said to give it back, he wasn't gonna prosecute.
And you know what? Because Glenn Robinson used to be with his cousin Scoop all the time. So they used to, so they was riding around here in the city because we actually hung out with Big Doctor when he stayed downtown East Side in a nice house, man. So we used to go hang out with him and Scoop. But yeah, he had jewelry up the wazoo, man.
But dude got 60 years for that shit.
Well,
okay.
What
the hell? Oh my God, no way.
You have a good one, brother.
Well, it was an apt description. I just don't know. I mean, he described what it was, but I don't know if we can. DJ said we're keeping it real goes
right.
wrong.
We just keeping it real.
Warren Sapp said something I thought was so profound. Warren Sapp said, I don't hang out with anybody that ain't making the same money I'm making.
That part.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Because, people. Yeah, because people still trying to, your boys, and, I got my boys. Hey, man, I'm just telling you, I'm running in a different circle now. So, All right, y'all. Let me thank everybody for being part of the program. Clark Kent, thank you. All right. Right out. Thank you.
Bishop, chairman of the board. God bless you.
Dito, thank you.
Right. Dito. Hey.
Dito, thank you.
Name.
Hey, y'all, the good Lord willing, creek don't rise. Hope to talk to everybody tomorrow. And as always, go from this place in peace.